to myself, what a wonderful world.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. I am the insightful, the incandescent, the incomparable coach, Ivy Allen. I help women get over the emotional baggage of being divorced and reinvent and reclaim their life from a feminine perspective. Welcome to this edition of Coaching, Coffee Coaching and Conversation. I'm getting my C's mixed up here. I would love to hear from you guys today. We're going to talk about the don'ts of dating. So what would really be cool for me is if you drop your comments, some things that you've learned along the way, stories you want to share so that I can see them as they roll up. If I don't see them, I'll acknowledge them afterwards, but hopefully I got my little notes right here, so I should be able to see them as they scroll up. So if I miss them, just keep them coming. I'll come back to them when I can. All right. So I don't know if any of you guys know this. When I started off as a life coach, I was always like a mindset and empowerment coach. But for, I don't know how long, might have been 5 or 6 years. It was a big chunk of my coaching journey. I did dating and relationship coaching, and I loved it. I absolutely love it. Loved it. Still love it. I think it's like since relationships are foundational to the human experience, and intimate relationships outside of familial relationship, which is your like first tribe, intimate relationships really have a significant role in your life and really can define you like in a major way. And so if you aren't really investing in your evolution in terms of your relationship well-being and how you relate to yourself first, whatever issues you have from your first tribe, your family, like if you've not done the work to get past whatever that is, and your intimate relationships, trust me, my sister and my brother, you are in for a roller coaster ride of your life, because it makes all the difference in the world. How you relate from those perspectives, especially from your first family, your first tribe, defines how you relate to everybody and everything the rest of your life, unless you become conscious of what it is and seek to change the things that you don't like. If you do not do this, I'm telling you, you're in for the roller coaster ride of your life. Roller coaster ride of your life. So one of the big, by the way, if you're here, present yourself in the comments. Let me know who you are, where you are watching from, so that I can acknowledge you. All right. So today I have real coffee today. The 5K is over. I ran the 5K. I do have pictures. I have not posted them, but I will post them. So the coffee is real today and I need it. I need it. Oh my gosh, today. All right. So, and by the way, y'all like my shirt? I am detoxing from, you can't see it, detoxing from negativity. Mine, yours, anybody's in the world. If it's negative, I don't want any parts of it. That's how I roll. That's how I roll in general, but I like to make a statement about it. So anyway, so do's and well, we're doing don'ts. We're not doing the do's. I actually think, well, we could do a whole thing on the do's too, but I actually think it's important to talk about what not to do. How many of you want to find a life partner? I'm just curious in this audience, like are really interested in finding a life partner after divorce. There's some of us, I talk to many women more than men will say they're not ready yet. They'll say they're just not ready yet. They're not over what happened with their ex. It is a wise decision not to date if you know you're not ready. Don't date. Here's my first don't. Do not date if you know you are not ready. If you know you still have anger issues, if you know you have trust issues, if you know there's some stuff, even if you don't know what the stuff is, you know there's some stuff, do your work. Don't dump that on a date. That's just not fair. It's just not fair. He's going to sit there and be the recipient of all of yours because you're not there yet. And it won't be his fault. And honestly, if you are there, if you are dating him and you are in that place, it doesn't matter what he does, the date's going to suck. Either two things are going to happen, one of two things. Either you will attract a gentleman who is the mirror reflection of you. He's not ready either. He's got luggage either. You guys commiserate over your luggage, and then you point the fingers at each other when it doesn't go right. And both of you are saying the same thing, that you're not over your ex and this went wrong, and you tried to help each other get over your ex, but it didn't work out, because you guys are reflecting back to each other all the trauma and drama from that relationship that neither of you are over. And that's how it goes. And if you have the unfortunate circumstances, listen, talk about detoxing negativity. I am a hopeful romantic, not hopeless, hopeful. I am of the mind that anything on this planet can be transformed. It is one of my strengths as a coach. There's nothing you could bring to me that I would not say, we can transform this. I will support you, and I believe you can transform it in your life. Absolutely. But 9 times out of 10, if you are not in the place where you are ready to transform it, what it does is it just crashes and burns. The distance between the time it crashes and burns is up to some people. Like I said, two things are going to happen. You're going to get into this relationship. He's going to reflect back to you where you are. And it's going to crash and burn because you're not ready. He's not ready. And y'all are just mirroring each other in this dance that you're doing. Or, and I think this is the worst of the two. He is really a good man and ready for a relationship, and you cannot see it or receive it. And so you blow up that relationship. You blow it up because you're just not there. You don't trust him. He can't do anything right. He tries very hard. It's not enough. You're very critical of him. You just blow it up. Blow it up. So you don't want to go down either of those paths. They are unpleasant. Moreover, they are unnecessary. You do not have to do that. I'm not suggesting at all that anybody has to be perfect in a relationship. We all got our stuff. You're going to show up where you are. But if you're open and you're willing to do your work, and you know you've done your work on the big major things that you already know you don't trust men. You already know you've been hurt. You already know you have issues from your childhood. You already know you have daddy issues, mommy issues, whatever, and you are working on them and working through them, then sure, you can date and be in a relationship. You can trust yourself. You can see where this goes. But if you aren't doing any work and you know you got stuff, or if you're not doing any work because you won't admit you've got stuff, which is another one. Half of the people that I encounter, they won't, I don't need that. I don't need any counseling. Like, we don't talk about it. We don't deal with it. I don't need to deal with it. You won't admit that you have any stuff. Then you're in for the roller coaster ride of your life in terms of relationships, because they're just going to be unstable, and you're going to be unhappy. You will never feel like you get your needs met because you're not meeting your own needs of being healthy, whole, and healed within yourself. You're expecting someone else to do that. And I'm telling you right now, I don't care who it is and how much they love you and how good they are. They cannot heal you. You must heal yourself. You must heal yourself. All right. So that's my preamble to this conversation. More coffee, please. Okay. So the other thing that I want to say is, most people coming out of divorce, people think that they're damaged goods. I don't think that you're damaged at all. I think for most of us, before we went into the divorce, we had unresolved issues that we attempted to resolve in through our marriage to said person, and it didn't work out. And so now we're in a place where it didn't work out, and people think we're damaged goods, or we connect failed divorce to I'm not whole, or I'm not worthy, or it was my fault, or I'm broken, or whatever. I want you to uncouple that. Divorce is an event. The event in and of itself is neutral. It's how we process that event that makes a difference. So if you're coming out of your divorce with this, I'm not worthy, it was all my fault, I can't keep a man, or victim, I don't know how to choose a man. Men always are, untrustworthy. Men betray you. Men use you. I don't have any control over what a man does. I'm just going to pick a man I can deal with his crap. If you're coming out with a perspective that you have tied to your divorce, you're going to be very less likely to have a healthy relationship, because your divorce is now at fault for your relationship woes. It is a very disempowering context. You have no power in that. It is because of your divorce that you choose bad men. It is because I'm divorced that I don't feel loved and worthy. It's because of my divorce, my picker's off. It's because of my divorce, I always go out with men who are unavailable. Your divorce is your divorce is your divorce. It's not because of. In fact, you chose your divorce, your husband. You chose. I'm being very pointed here with my language. You chose. Women get to choose. You get to say yes or no to being married and to being in a relationship. And if you said yes to this marriage, then own that you said yes and you made the best decision that you could at the time. And when you chose divorce, you made the best decision that you could at the time. And divorce has nothing to do with what you're doing now and you're dating now. Nothing to do. Uncouple that. It's not because of your divorce that you have a bad dating life. You have a bad dating life because you're doing the same thing you did when you were dating your husband, and that's not being responsible for your choices. So be responsible for your choices. You uncouple all of that stuff. We always are linking stuff up that doesn't have anything to do with anything. Your divorce has nothing to do with your dating life. It has nothing to do with you. I'm gonna say it again. Your divorce has nothing to do with your dating life. Your issues have something to do with your dating life. There are plenty of people who are divorced and date happily, have been remarried happily, have a good relationship. You guys know, or if you don't know, I come from a long line of divorce. My grandparents were my family was doing divorce before divorce was being done. So it's one of the things that's a legacy. And I will say, but this is a legacy too. We get it wrong on the first time, we get it right on the second. We in my family, at least, we learn from, we don't have divorce coupled with failure. We learn from whatever it was that was going on that had us choose the partner in the first place. And then when we get married the second time around, we don't make that same mistake. So divorce has nothing to do with your dating life. Nothing. Your dating life is your dating life is your dating life. All right. So don'ts. Let's get into it. So I was laughing today. So a couple don'ts, guys. This is a funny one. If he doesn't have the same phone that you do, if he's a Droid user and you're an iPhone user, don't date this joker. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Can I tell you though, how many of you notice, drop a me in the comments or drop the word phone in the comments. If you're an iPhone user, I don't know anything about droids, so I don't know how it shows up, but I'm an iPhone user. So when somebody does not have an iPhone, the text shows up green and I'm always like, I don't know how this is going to work out. We already starting off on the wrong foot. It's hilarious. But what I would love to hear from you guys is, what is some of the mythology that you guys have about the don'ts too? Like, that's a hilarious one. There's some ones that I think make really good grounded sense. And there's some stuff that I think are just really made up that we use to tell ourselves, to make excuses or justify why a person didn't work out. I think there are some hardcore ones or some foundational ones that really do make sense. And I'll get into a couple of those. They're not hardcore, but these are just some of these I'm laughing at because I just want to share my experiences. So I would love to hear from you guys. What are some of your funny don'ts? That's one of my funny don'ts. I used to joke about my daughter's dad and I got divorced because he was a Captain America fan and I wasn't. Don't date a guy who doesn't have the same superheroes that you do. Y'all don't even like the same things. It's just so funny. No, and actually then I fell in love with Captain America later, but that was way after the divorce and watching the movies and looking back at the comic book and really reading and all that other stuff. There's some redeeming qualities that Captain America has, but I used to say, he is an acrobat with a shield. He's nothing. He's nothing. And we used to have this big, and he would be like, he's a super soldier. Big debate over this stuff. Like, that's hilarious to me. Anyway. So there's things about that you can take that are jokes. Here's another don't. Although I do believe in some alignment of this. People tend to say, don't date certain zodiac signs. And I do believe in the cosmic universe, there are people that link up better with other people that fall under the umbrella of zodiac, or chakras, or you could even make that case for ethnicity, age range, cultural background, right? You could link that up too. And then in the end, it kind of doesn't matter, because if you and the person have a really great connection and are open and available, you can overcome any of that stuff. People have done it for years. You can be, a water sign married to a fire sign and bring each other into balance if you both are open to that, right? There are people who don't even know what their zodiac signs are married, have a happy marriage. And if you looked it up, you'd be like, oh my God, how did you guys get together? It doesn't even make sense, right? Same thing from cultures where you have a Jew marrying a Christian, or a Muslim marrying a Jew, like that's their cultural background, or blended families with different religious backgrounds that you think wouldn't necessarily blend well together, but they've chosen this, and because they're open and loving and respectful of each other, they're making it work. And that's the bottom line. So there's not any hard fast in terms of background. I'll say this: when you have a shared background, it makes it easier. The connection flows easier. You tend to have less disagreements about certain things because there's more alignment on certain things. But that doesn't necessarily make a good relationship. When they do studies around teams, they say the most diverse teams have the most friction, but they're also the strongest teams. They make the best products because their perspectives are so unique. And when you blend them together, you get something that's really amazing and stellar. So people are, when you're coming together with a partner, it's the same thing. You can blend together if you really choose to, and you are aligned on the things that matter to you both. You need to be aligned on what matters to you both. You can be unaligned on Captain America. My thing is, guys, don't kill me for this. I hate the freaking Cowboys. And he was a Cowboys fan. And so I used to say, yes, the Cowboys are the reason for our divorce. I mean, because I don't like the Cowboys. I'm really not a Cowboys fan. I never have been. And I find so many men are Cowboys fans. If there are dudes out there watching this, what is up with the Cowboys thing? What is up with that? I don't get them. I don't get what their deal is. Why every dude is like, Cowboys, Cowboys. I don't get it. So that was another reason. All right, here's some good don'ts. I'm going to give you about 5 of them. So this is going to be obvious, but it bears repeating and it bears saying, because I don't know how many times I've been on a date or heard women who have shared with me, clients who have shared with me that they've been on a date, and this is still the case. And this is a two-way street. I have had clients that are men have told me the same thing. Don't talk about your ex on a date. Do not talk about your ex on a date. It is the biggest turnoff for you to be sitting across from someone who is lamenting about either how wonderful they were and divorce came out of nowhere and it was so hurtful and blah, da, 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 and you couldn't understand why this could happen to you and da, da, da. Or it is just as equally awful to hear what an SOB this person was, what a user, how trifling, he or she never helped around the house or with the kids, you were footing all the bills, et cetera, et cetera. I don't care what your story is, it's your story. You own it. It has nothing to do with this person. They did not drive across town. They did not decide to pay for a meal with you, ladies, to hear you lament for even 5 minutes, 2 minutes about your ex, to go down that rabbit hole. That is not why he asked you out. He is not your therapist. He is not your girlfriend. He is not your boyfriend and won't become your boyfriend or your man or your king if the way you're starting off this date is lamenting or waxing wistfully about your ex. Please just save that for your therapist. If you get triggered, put a little text note in your phone and remind yourself to pick it up with your therapist, your girlfriend, your family at a later date. Do not do this. Now, there is an appropriate time to share what happened. There is. And there's no hard and fast rules. I'm not going to tell you, well, it's the second date or it's the third date or whatever. I will say this. If you and this person are developing an intimate relationship and you're sharing your backgrounds, you're going to share about your families, you're going to share about your children. There will be a point where it feels appropriate to share about your former partner. And even from that perspective, I would go light on the details, the he said, she said, and do more of an overview of what happened. Because what that tells me, if you throw your ex under the bus and hard, you're going to throw me under the bus and hard. And I'm going to be looking at that. If I'm thinking of you as a potential mate or a potential partner, how you talk about all these other people in your life is how you're going to talk about me. And I'm watching that. And in particular, your ex-spouse. I'm not saying don't be candid. I'm not saying don't share intimately. I'm not saying don't share your feelings about it. Those are important because it builds rapport. It creates intimacy. It creates depth. You're being vulnerable. You should share, but not from the context of I'm going to throw him under the bus. And you got all of this stuff. And if there's a lot of charge around it, like anger, frustration, irritation, deep sadness, anxiety, get that handled in therapy. Your new guy is not your therapist. You need to be working on that. And frankly, I would question whether you even need to be in this relationship. If all that's coming up and you're being triggered to the max, then you need to work with a professional, a coach, a therapist to find out, am I actually even ready to be in a relationship with this man if you're doing that? If you find yourself talking about your ex in that charged way with some total stranger who actually asked you out to enjoy the benefit, to enjoy the pleasure of your company for an evening, and you take him down memory lane about something he has nothing to do with and talking about somebody he doesn't know and giving him one side of the story when he wasn't there, then I suggest you take a step back from dating and really evaluate whether or not you're ready. Conversely, if you are sitting across from the person who's doing that, I'm telling you, it is the biggest, if you've done this, you know this, if you witnessed it, you know, it is the biggest turnoff on the planet to sit across from somebody who is clearly not beyond what has transpired with their former partner. And they are really either lamenting from oh, I just can't believe it, or lamenting from what a such and such this person was in my life, and going on and on and on and on. Nobody came out on a date to hear that. Nobody. And if you are somebody who did, you need to reevaluate why you're dating in the first place. So don't talk about your ex. There is an appropriate time to do that. A first date or the first few dates is not necessarily it. Now, some people get super intimate super quick. You will know when it's the right time. And I would caution you, share at an appropriate level. You do not want to go into the depths and deep bowels of that former relationship with a guy on the third date, even if y'all are disclosing, well, I was divorced and whatever happened, however much you share. You don't want to open your entire kimono about the whole 10-year, 20-year relationship with this person on a third date. Again, let the shares be appropriate to the level of intimacy that you had. It's okay to be vulnerable and to share, but you can't share everything with everybody all at once right up front. It's off-putting to people because it's uncomfortable. It feels like, I don't know what I have done to earn the level of trust you seem to be giving me as if I were your therapist. And I'm not your therapist. I'm not here for you to vet and process what happened between you and your relationship. I'm here to enjoy your company and see if there's chemistry here, which clearly, not just chemistry, but like connection. People make too many relationship decisions based on chemistry. I'm not saying it's not important, but it ain't the end all be all. As you age, you realize that. So you're trying to find out if you have connection. and you're sharing with somebody, and then the next thing you know, it turns into a therapy session and you're just going, wow, I'm really sorry. How do you even respond to that on a first, second, or third date? I'm really sorry. That's a terrible thing to have happen to you. Wow, I'm really sorry. That's a terrible thing. Like, that's all you can say. You've no context. You don't know this person well enough to know if they're being truthful, if there's a his side of the, you don't know enough about it. And so for other people listening to that, it's like, woo, 2 hours of my life I will not get back, or an hour if it even lasted that long. And I'm definitely not asking this person out again. Do not do that. Your date is not your therapist. Their date. Enjoy them as such. It should be a good time for both of you. And if you find he or you are not having a good time, somebody made a wrong turn somewhere, right? Here's the other thing that I think is a don't. I don't introduce gentlemen to my child too early on. I'm not saying don't. I feel like, once again, there's a lot of hard and fast rules around this. People give you guidance in this. I do think they should meet your kids. But I think when it fits the level of relationship that is appropriate to you. Now, sometimes I go back and forth on this, because as a single mom, one of the things I wanted to model for my daughter was healthy dating, because she was going to date at some point. And so I tried to do that in a reasonable way. So if I was seeing the gentleman, and I had been for a long time, and he was trusted, that he could come up and, pick me up, and I could show him being a gentleman, picking me up from my home, meeting my child, and us going out, not him sitting in my house and Netflixing and chilling and all of that other stuff, right? Trying to model healthy behavior. I think it's really important that the level, again, he's meeting your children. Your children are going to have questions. Who is this guy? Who is this guy to me? Who is this guy to mom? Is he going to keep seeing this? Same thing. And I know a lot of men do this a lot quicker, because women feel safer, right? The woman feels she's a woman, she's a mother, she's not going to hurt anybody. It's not a big deal. I'm a dude. What's she going to do? She's not going to come up here and run up in here. It's not about you. It's about the impact that this has on your children. You need to be mindful of that. A young child who is wanting attention from a mother figure might actually cling to this person and feel very comfortable. And then if this person goes away, it's another abandonment issue. Like, you got to think about this a little bit differently from your child's perspective. I think it's okay to model dating for your kids in a healthy way. Be mindful of introducing the date into your life when you aren't sure of the kind of relationship you're going to have with this person, especially for young kids. I think if you have teens, you can have a different kind of conversation, because teens are in the dating space. They're dating, and they're probably multi-dating. They go, they might go out with this guy and it might last a couple weeks, because that's what teenagers do. So, and they're mature enough to handle that kind of conversation. And it's actually an appropriate time to handle that conversation with you. If you have young children, they're different. They get attached very easily. They're watching you. They're trying to see how to relate to this person. And especially in the case if your former partner has passed away, or they've moved away, and there's no mother or father figure in their life, what happens is they're going to gravitate. If they're young, they tend to gravitate toward this person, and they will form attachment. Then when this person goes away, it's like an abandonment for the kid. It's the second time or third or fourth or however many times you've done this, because they got a father that's moved away, or a mother that's moved away, or that passed away, that's not in their life. And now this person who they now loved and are attached to does it again. Now, having said that, there are times when you might date somebody long-term, 2-3 years, they're in your life and it doesn't work out. And that's disappointing. But I also think it also will create the context or the backdrop for you to talk through feelings of what happens when people leave in our life, because people do leave in our life. What I'm saying is, if you're in the multi-dating and you're dating a few different people, don't have all of these people running in and out of your kid's life. Don't have them running willy-nilly through your house, through your life, through your mind, it creates issues for your children. And if you are dating for your own pleasure, don't even have your kids in it at all. They don't even need to know. They're young. The guy or the girl is coming for you, then you enjoy them. They don't need to have anything to do with your kids. They don't. When I dated, if it wasn't the kind of guy I thought was going to lead to a relationship, or we had decided to be in a relationship, the guy was for me. He wasn't for my daughter. He don't need to be in my house. He don't need to be around. He didn't need to be anything. We had an understanding. It had nothing to do with my kid. So she didn't need to be exposed to any of that at all. Be mindful of that, because it creates issues. And I share this very candidly. My daughter has come up to me and said many times, I thank you, Mom, for not having men in the house. I have so many friends who have men in the house, and the dynamic in their household is not good. And then she also thanked me one time because she said, you always made our home a safe space. I feel safe here. I feel like this is my home, like I can be me in my home, and that there's not this outsider coming in feeling like an intrusion. Like now it's not our space, it's our with this other guy in it who, from a child's perspective, and depending on how old they're, I just met you, you just got here. I would also say that the same sex is easier than opposite sex relationship. So I had a daughter, so men is going to be harder. It's like basically telling her, be okay with this perfect stranger who's a grown ass man. Weird. It's weird. And I'm a product of divorce. I have been there. Vice versa. Women were easier for me to connect to because they were at least women. I at least had that relatability, but they're still like, are you coming back? What are you doing with my dad? What's here? Not from a jealous, but like side-eyeing a little bit. And you could also feel the tension from the women when I was an intrusion, right? My father loved me. For a lot of girls, the woman doesn't like the girl because the girl is the apple of the father's eye. And he has made it clear that she is a priority in his life. And women, we want to be a priority in our man's life. How do you navigate that? If you're not sure, don't have these people around your kid. You get shored up about what kind of relationship this is and where it's going and whether or not they are worth, and I mean this, the relationship, the nature of it is going to add value for them to be in your kid's life. It's not just about you. It's not just about you. If you are introducing an individual to your family, you need to contemplate the value that they're adding to the family as a whole, not just, this is my man, I like this guy, this is my lady, I like this guy, or this is a lady and I like this lady, or this is a guy and I like this guy. It's nothing wrong with having that, but before you introduce them to your children, be mindful of the context under which you are introducing them and consider the impact on your children. And it makes a difference depending on what ages they are. It really just does. Don't have every Jane, John, and Jerry up in your house. That's what I'm saying about that. All right. Don't play opposite spouse, right? This was my favorite. I love this. This is another indicator you're not healed. Everything your spouse is, you date the opposite. This is what we like to do. We like to go online. You don't swipe left. If he's if he had a degree, you don't want any degrees, or maybe you want a different degree, a higher degree. If he was blue collar, you want white collar. If he was in this culture, you want a different culture. If he was this color, you might want a different color. If he was over 6 feet and like a basketball body type, you're like, all right, I'm okay. I can be with 5'11" and a dad bod because they don't cheat. Like, you just overcorrect. Everything your ex was, you choose something that you are attracted to that is the opposite of that, believing that if you don't choose those characteristics, and I'm talking about physical and intangible, he was charming, you want a quiet guy. He was, his hobbies were like, maybe he was a musician or an artist, you want a guy who plays golf, right? Or maybe the guy was a sports guy, who was a sports enthusiast, you want an intellectual now, an art guy. Like, you just cherry pick the opposite because you think it will correct the issues in your relationship. It doesn't. People are people. There are athletes that cheat and athletes that are faithful. There are intellectuals who cheat and intellectuals who are faithful. There are blue collars who will ride and die and blue collar people who cheat. There are white collar people who will ride and die and white collars who will cheat. There are tall men who will, be unfaithful or mean or abusive. And then there are short men who are unfaithful, mean, and abusive. It doesn't, like, none of those things matter. It is the character of a person. You really want to evaluate the character of the person and be committed to finding a man who honors his word, or a woman who honors her word. You want to be committed to evaluating the character. Don't play opposite date. Whatever he was, I want the opposite of. I'm never, you heard him. I'm never dating a guy from wherever. All those New York men, tall men, athletes. You know what? I'm not dating a man unless he has, then you start putting all this. He's got to have this, and a third, or I'm not ever going to date a man. I think it's fine to have standards that indicate character. But if you're looking for all of these external characteristics that connote what you think will or that denote what you think will indicate character, you're wrong. Character is character. You're looking for somebody who honors their word, who means what they say and does what they say. It doesn't matter their height or weight or job, who is a person of whatever character values you're looking for. Somebody who is kind, somebody who is warm, somebody who is present, who takes their time with you, someone who listens, right? That has nothing to do with their occupation or profession. Although granted, a counselor, a coach, a yoga instructor might listen more closely because their profession is listening, right? Then again, they may not. I know some counselors who's like, they do that all day. They have no intention of doing that when they come home. They're not interested in it. And in fact, they may not be great listeners in the home as much as they do when they're with their clients. My point is, don't play opposite guy or opposite girl. And we do this a lot. It's an overcorrection. We're like, I'm ready to date. I'm going to go out there. I know my issues. I have abandonment issues. So I'm only going to date God-fearing men who demonstrate a serious faith and commitment to God, because my last husband wasn't, and he chased every skirt that whatever. And it's sometimes it's some bigger hoes in church than it is anywhere else. It has nothing to do with that. If you want a spiritual man and that's a character trait, then you want a God-fearing man. You want a man that is grounded in his spirituality. Again, this is the uncoupling. Don't uncouple that with his ability to be committed. If you're like, I want a man who is faithful, who is committed. When he gives me his word, he honors it around whatever that is. That's the trait you're looking for, whether he's in church or out of church, right? And if church is important to you, then you put that in as a character thing. Like, I want to worship in partnership with my new partner. I want someone who I can share my faith with. He has to be X kind of, blah, 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 to overcorrect for the fact that your man never went to church is not going to get it. Because you'll get somebody that, quote, goes to church and has no sense of faith, has no connection to the divine, and isn't even interested in it, right? They're paying lip service to it. It's not the thing, it's the character. What is his relationship to his own spirituality? What are his practices around his faith? I want a man that honors his relationship with the divine and practices whatever spirituality he ascribes to and is present in his life. That's what I want, right? That's what you're saying. Not, I want a man that goes to church. My ex never went to church. And I just think if he went to church, some of it would have gotten down in him and he wouldn't have been XYZ. We look for the wrong things. We're looking for the wrong things. There's plenty of dudes in church that go to church every week. Heck, there's plenty of women in church that go to church every week, following their night in the club, following their walk of shame. It isn't what they do. It's the character of who they are. And you will see evidence in that in their lives. You don't want to play opposite person where you pick every trait that your ex had and reverse it in the next guy. That's not going to work either. You don't want to do that either. So I would love to hear from you guys. What are some of your stories, things that you did that, like, don't ever, in the words of Chris Rock, do that again in life. Here's another one. Don't bank on their potential. We do a lot of this. They have the potential to be, I see that they are potentially going to do this, or what did she say in she said this in that movie, Jerry Maguire. He's everything. I love him for everything that he could be. Flying, he wasn't it now. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Let that go. You have to ask yourself when you're with somebody, do I like him the way he is and the way he is not? If the way he is, and we all are evolving towards something, and he's evolving himself. Maybe you meet a guy and which I encounter a lot of these people. Like at this point in my life, I'm meeting a lot of people who are they're building their second career, or they're building the career that they want to have when they retire. So they're in school becoming something. That isn't me banking on their potential to be something in school. They're already in school. They're already evolving towards something. I don't know what they will do with it. This is a personal pursuit. And I admire them for it. I respect them for it. But if they never do anything for it, I'm okay with that. Do you like them? Can you be with them if they finish the degree or if they never finish it? You're not looking for a potential where they're going to be in 5 years. Is this person someone that will grow and evolve with you? Do they have a growth mindset in general? Because you have a growth mindset and both of you are going to evolve and grow together, right? This is what you're looking for, not their potential. They could be this, we all could be a lot of stuff. Don't all of us want to be? There's plenty of people that once they hit whatever, 6 figures, they're like, I'm good. This is the demarcation. I want to do other things with my life. There are plenty of people that have no interest in hitting 6 figures that are like, I want to travel and live my life. I don't own property. What I do is have excursions and exploration and exploits. I have a fat bank account and I travel a lot, and that's my lifestyle. They're not going to want to own a home. They don't want to do that. There are some people you're going to meet that have no kids and don't want any kids. They're not going to change their mind about this, especially as you move into over 40 and over 50. When people have made up their mind about certain things, they're not interested in the potential. Like, I could have kids, I could buy a house, I could buy a yacht, I could buy a boat, but you can do a lot of things. They don't want to. They're at a point where this is not of interest to them. You do not want to bank on somebody's potential. We all have potential. You could be a rocket science. If I started today, I might actually be able to become a rocket science within the next 10 years if I put my mind to it. Like, put my head down, went back to school, got a BA in physics and astrology or astronomy, and learn calculus. And I have no desire to do that. Do I have the potential? Is it possible for me to have the intellect? Could I hire a bunch of tutors and put myself? Absolutely. I have no desire to do that. None. You don't bank on people's potential. You bank on, do they have the character of a person, and is it a person that is going to have a growth mindset and not allow themselves to be stagnant, so you all grow and evolve together, whatever that looks like. Some people's growth mindset is off the charts. They are always in a class, they're always learning something, they're always taking the next certification, they're in it. Other people are like, if they take one thing a year, or one thing every 2 years, or one thing every 5 years, that's fine. Is that mindset compatible with your own? That's what you're looking for, not someone's potential. We do this a lot. She could be, he could be X, Y, and Z. And then what they do to us because they want our support and our love, is sometimes they play up their potential when that's not really what they want to do anyway. They're only doing it for you. They're only doing it because they want to impress you. They're doing it because they want to date you. They want to be with you. They think that it's important to you. They don't have any interest in it, which means at some point it's going to fall flat. You cannot want something more for someone else than they want it for themselves. You can't. You can want it for them and be like, I will hold the line. If you say you want this, I will be unequivocally, as a coach, I know this. I will hold the line and hold the space and hold the vision for your vision to the degree that you say to me, this is what you are committed to accomplishing. And I will stand for you. I will challenge you and I will push you. But the minute you're like not into it or not wanting it or not out of it. I mean, and the coaching is relationship a little bit different because I'm standing for you. When you come to me, then I'm going to poke on you. We're not in an intimate relationship, but when you're in an intimate relationship, you can challenge the person only so much before they're like, I don't want this. I just want you. And then the question is, do I have to get that to keep you? And that's what it becomes about. And so many relationships dissolve into that. When I married him, I thought he was going to be, and he turned out not to be that at all. And it's disappointing because you really didn't marry him. You married or got in a relationship commitment with that potential, the vision of what they would become at some point. And that's not who you are with. You are with where they are right now. And the question you have is, can you live with it or can you not? And if it's important to you that they get that thing, then I suggest you go find a person that has that thing and be with them right now. Because you don't know if the person's ever going to get that thing. You got to love them where they are. You got to be okay with them where they are. And if you're not, that's not his problem or her problem. That's your problem. You don't put that kind of pressure on a partner because it makes people try to live up to something that they will never become. And I find usually if you're banking on a potential that's like somewhere out in the future, as soon as they get that thing, you've already thought about what the next step is. Now, some relationships, like I said, if people are committed and love each other, anything can be transformed. There are some people that count on you pushing them or they would never push themselves. If that works, great. But I always say, I don't like the diamond in the rough analogy. Diamonds are built by pressure over time. And I don't want to be in a relationship where I'm constantly being pressured over time, nor do I want to be the one applying pressure over time. I'm not interested in that. Now, I want us to challenge each other. I want us to have a healthy sense of calling each other forth into the greatest version of ourselves. But I don't want my pressure to be coming from my king. I don't want that. Not in an unhealthy way where he's trying to drive me to do something that it is clear that I am not interested in doing. Not wanting to do that. Not at all. So don't bank on their or date or be in a relationship with their potential. You're in the relationship with the person where they are right now, who they are right now, who they are not right now. If you're dating a person and he has a BA and is talking about getting a master's and he never gets it, you got to be okay with the BA and okay with not masters. He's not a person that has a master's. And that's an easy analogy to do. Whatever it is, you got to be okay with what they are not. Today, he does not have a master's. Are you okay with that? If that's going to bother you, look, you ain't got to tell me, but be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself and be honest with the person. If you're going to date somebody and then judge them for not having the things you want, why are you dating them? Don't bank on their potential. Don't bank on their potential. All right. Anybody else have any other ones on the don't side? I should have wrote these down, you guys. These are like kind of off the cuff of my head. Some of like the big ones that I've heard people say. The potential is a big one. Don't do the opposite one is a really, really big one. I know a lot of women that was like, I'll never date a man that a lot of men do. I'm never going to date another woman who the opposite one is a big one. Don't talk about your ex. That's another big one. And don't introduce these people into your lives prematurely into your family's life, your children's lives prematurely. Please keep that in mind. Remember, guys, I'm like the Lorax. I don't speak for the trees, but I speak for the kids. I'm speaking for the children. So I would say those are really, really the big ones. Any other ones, I would love to hear from you guys. Drop your comments in this. And I'd love to know some of your stories around these too, because I think collectively we can learn from me. There's some things that I know that I wish I hadn't done when I was dating. And nobody really talked about it back then. Now that the internet is prolific and people got Chat GPT and everything, you can look up pretty much anything. And there's more access to counseling, to coaches, to people who can support you on your journey. And so it's really important that you take advantage of your resources and really take a look at some of these things not to do when dating. And of course, the biggest one is don't do it if you're not ready. If you're not ready, then don't do it. You don't have to be in a hurry. Men will still be there. Women will still be there when you're ready, right? When you're ready, you're ready. It'll be good. It'll be good. The last don't is, I would say, is one of the things I know, and this is a personal one, but I think we tend to do this. Don't rush the relationship. Don't rush to relationship. Sometimes you meet a person and you really hit it off and you start picking out your China patterns and thinking about the next cookout that they might come to. And I met this guy and he was really wonderful. And I met this girl and she was really, really, woman, I think she might be the next Mrs. So-and-so, or this might be Mr. Right or whatever. And we rush to relationship because we've been so hurt in the journey back to ourselves and to relationship. We just want to hurry up and check the box of relationship and have a partner so we can have somebody to have dinner with on national holidays and somebody to invite to the cookout, and there's no +1 for you, right? Don't rush the relationship. Don't rush the relationship. Give yourself permission to really summer and winter with somebody. And I'm not saying 2-3 years. I mean, honestly, I think I saw a quote. Somebody was saying, if you've been in a relationship for 4 years, if you've been waiting to get married for 4 years, you're now not in a relationship, you're into relationship management, which I thought was an interesting kind of philosophy. I think if my grandmother used to say, you have to summer and winter with somebody to get to know. And I would say you at least have to do 4 seasons with somebody to really, really, really know them. Now, people get married in less time and it works out. Again, you can transform anything if you are open, vulnerable, and you do the work. The reason it takes us 10 years, 5 years, 20 years to transform something, transformation happens in a minute. It takes us 10, 5 years, 20 years to transform something is because we are resistant to letting go of our BS, our belief system, or our bullshiggity. So it can take a long time, but to be with somebody. But I at least recommend 4 seasons before you decide to tie the knot again, because I don't think you really can know a lot of facets of a person until you've witnessed them in a lot of scenarios. And sometimes you don't have the opportunity. The year gives you the space, the opportunities to see them in multiple scenarios, so that when you say I do, you really mean it, because you've seen what you're getting. You know what you're getting for the most part. In a year, you cannot know everything. You won't know everything, but you'll know a lot of things. You'll know enough to make an informed choice about whether you want this person to be in your life or not. And I'm not saying it can't happen faster with some people. There are statistics that show that those relationships don't typically work out, but then I'm sure everybody here can point to somebody where, I know people that got married in 3 months and they've been married for 50 years. And I know people that waited 10 years, got married and broke and divorced in 1 year. Yeah, 10 years those statistics don't work either. Too soon doesn't work, too long doesn't work. But there's a sweet spot where you'll know, and usually it's around the year mark, or at least 9 months to 18 months, somewhere in there, where you'll know, like, this is the right decision for me, and you'll have seen them. And these are, again, I'm giving you a general demarcation. There are other things that would have to be in place so that you would know unequivocally that this is your person, but don't rush to be a couple just because you've had a handful of dates. You don't need to be in a hurry. There's no impetus. And I know for some of you, maybe there is because children are at stake, but wouldn't you rather have the right father than just a father? Right? Wouldn't you rather have the right man co-parenting with you or parenting with you than just a co-parent? Wouldn't you want to have a man that's interested and wants to be a father and is a loving father, and you know that about him, than just somebody who brings biology to the table? Think about what you're planning here. Think about your end game. Don't you want someone to grow old with, that you want to grow old with, that you enjoy growing old with? Don't rush the process. The more you relax and enjoy the process, the more the person has an opportunity to be themselves around you, because there is no pressure, right? You take that diamond of the rough piece of the equation out. And when there's no pressure, people show you who they really are. And when you know who they really are, you know if they're really for you. All right. So those are my do's and don'ts. Those are my don'ts for this week. The don'ts of dating. Would love to hear back from you. Drop your funny stories or the don'ts that you have encountered in your dating life, and share your lessons. All right. Couple things, little announcements for you. One, are you joining my Who Do You Think You Are challenge? We start on Monday at 7 p.m. It's being run inside of the Facebook group. If you have not joined, please do so. I will drop the link in the comment section for that. And then, as I mentioned before, if you are ready to up-level your life, to get the glow up and get the damn thing done, you are ready to drop your emotional baggage at the door and become the best version of yourself, Diva style, then you want to sign up for one of my VIPs. I do these every summer. They are VIP days with me. It's about a 5-hour-ish session with me. We take a deep dive. It is all for you, about you, for you, about you, with you, you. This is an excellent opportunity for you to take a deep dive and really focus on what it would take to reinvent and reclaim your life. How do you want to live? What do you want to do with your life? Where do you want to go? You get to have the body, the finances, the feminine essence, the family, the faith that you want in your life. And you don't have to wait 10 years, 5 years. Like I said before, it can be transformed just like that. And we can transform it together in one of these VIP days. It doesn't even have to take the 4 hours. It depends on up to you. You can transform it and then use the 4 hours to come up with something else that you want to work on. Trust me, these are one of the best things that I do, and I am excellent at it. I'm excellent at it because I am focused on you for the entire time. You get the benefit of having someone's undivided attention supporting you to evolve in a very safe space. We use the Strengths Finder assessment to come up with what are your baseline strengths. That's one of the assessments that we use. There is follow-up included. There are 3 sessions following the VIP day to make sure that you have anchored in whatever transformation that has occurred and you are executing on the plan that you have for your life. You get my unequivocal faith and understanding of where you are and where you are going, and me standing for your transformation. Remember, I said earlier, if you want it, I will support you and stand for you, hold the space, hold the vision so that you can get it. I'm telling you, and I believe in you, that evolution, human beings have only just tapped into the very surface of their evolution and what they are capable of doing. And I am the person, the poster child leading the flag of belief and support in you that you can do it. This is not about your past. I don't deal with your past. I deal with your present and the future that you are creating. And I am here for it. And you get all of that energy to bear in these sessions. And the time is now. There is no better time than now. We're coming out of a pandemic. Opportunity abounds. There's jobs available for people, careers available for people. There are partners. People are dating left, right, and center if you want a new partner. There is a way to create healthy co-parenting relationships with your former spouse. People are evolving, getting more educated. Healthy relationships are something that people aspire to have. There's more availability of that. You want to be in on that. You want to be in on it. There's no better time than now. Don't get left behind in your own BS. Click the link, schedule your VIP day, and make sure that you are getting what you want, creating the life that you want right now. There's no better time than now. The life you want wants you. What you want wants you. Don't wait another day to get what you want. All right. I will put both of those links down, including a Q&A call. If you want to jump on a Q&A call, talk to me about more about what this VIP day is. I'm happy to talk with you, happy to talk with anybody about it. I look forward to seeing you guys next weekend on Coffee, Coaching, and Conversation. Have a great weekend. Happy Saturday.
I think to myself, what a wonderful world.